Hello and welcome to another ill-advised idea by me. So I decided to, take a little test thing. What motivated me to do this are all the comments that have told me I am not a centrist, which I had always thought that I was, but clearly I am not. Unfortunately, when I look at these comments, I am not sure what I am, because clearly I am both a far leftist and a far right at the same time. So let's take this test. All right, let me zoom this. Before taking the test, please note that this isn't a survey, and these aren't questions, okay? They're propositions. To question the logic of individual ones that irritate you is to miss the point. Yo, this is reading right now like someone who has gotten so many comments and emails from annoying, stupid people, and they've just had it. This is worded in the way of someone that has just been bombarded by idiots, and they're just like, you know what? Fuck you. Some propositions are extreme and some are moderate. That's how we could show you whether you lean towards extremism or moderation on the compass. Your responses should not be overthought. Well, no promises there. Some of them are intentionally vague. Alright, their purpose is to trigger warning reactions in the mind, measuring feelings and prejudices rather than detailed opinions on policy. Alright, so they've got that disclaimer for all of the emails they've gotten. Alright, so just a few propositions to start with concerning, no less, how you see the country and the world. Okay. I'm assuming it says this is a global one. I'm taking it for my country, United States. All right, if economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. All right, so I'm going to already start overthinking, because I would think if it serves transnational corporations, it would also serve humanity. Otherwise, those transnational corporations would probably fall apart. So I'm just going to agree with this, because go humanity, but part of me kind of disagrees, because I think transnational corporations have to serve humanity to survive. All right, I'd always support my country, whether it was right or wrong. No, I would not. No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. I don't strongly disagree with that, but I definitely disagree with it. I feel like that's a statement that would be made by someone who just, by some really left-winged, purple-haired person who just left a Pride rally and then doesn't understand the irony of that statement. I don't strongly disagree with it, because I also think you shouldn't take it to an extreme of pride for where you were born, but it isn't foolish to be proud of where you're from. Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. No. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, kind of. I could see that. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. No. I'm not going to strongly disagree, just in case the international law in question was stupid, but I'm going to disagree. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Well, there is. I don't strongly agree, but I agree. I mean, look at what you're watching right now. Now the economy. We're talking attitudes here, not the FTSE index, not stocks. Okay. People are ultimately divided by more by class than nationality. Yeah, I agree with that. Not strongly, but I definitely agree. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. No, it's not. Because inflation's a natural occurrence in economics, and unemployment doesn't have to be. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. Well, that is a bold statement, that they can't be trusted to protect the environment. I'm going to say disagree, because I don't like regulation. This little assumption here is pretty intense. I guess that's what they were warning us about. From each according to his ability to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea. Probably not. The freer the market, the freer the people. Yes. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer product. I can agree with that. Land shouldn't be a commodity. Now, let me take this back. Yes, I understand. I agree with the free market. I'm not saying that bottled water shouldn't be allowed. Definitely allow it, but I do think it's kind of sad that people buy it. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. I strongly disagree. It absolutely should be. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. Okay, this sounds like someone who failed Economics 101. You're not just manipulating money and contributing nothing to your society, because this sounds like it's talking about stock trading. You're funding companies that are contributing great deals to society. So strongly disagree with the person that didn't understand basic economics. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. Not really. It can be, but The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. No. I think that's the only goal of a company, but besides monetary goals, I think if you take no mind of your social responsibilities as a company, you will fall apart anyway and then not deliver a profit to your shareholders. So I'm going to say that would be a bad philosophy. The rich are too highly taxed. No, they are not. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of health care, medical care. Dear God. I'm going to disagree with that. Not strongly. Healthcare in the US is all screwy, wonky. It should work more like auto insurance if we're trying to do a free market thing, or just increase our taxes and make it free for everybody. But that's not really practical in the US because we're too obese. Other countries can pull it off, but our country's way too unhealthy to have universal healthcare that's affordable for any stretch of the imagination. Government should penalize businesses that mislead the public. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't strongly agree because I don't want you to take it too far, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think that hurts the free market to hold companies responsible to not blatantly lie. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. I definitely agree with that. A free market doesn't mean everybody gets to do whatever the hell they want. It just means the government's only involved when, silly business like this goes on. The misleading the public and monopolies. All right, now let's take a look at some of your personal social values. Oh boy, abortion. That's the first word we start with. When the woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. No. Okay, all authority should be questioned. Probably. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Why not? Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. Probably not. I mean, I understand preservation of history, but you should find a way to make that interesting enough to preserve it. Or just stick it in a wing of a library instead. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. That means required for anyone that doesn't know what that word means. Probably not a good idea. I think the problems with school are not required attendance. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep with their own kind. No! Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. Probably not. I understand. I'm not like super anti-spanking in any situation, but if it gets to that level, you probably did something else wrong, unless you just have a kid with a mental disorder, in which case you should probably be taking them to therapy. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. Well, yeah, I'm not saying it's good for that to happen, but it's definitely natural. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. Yeah, because alcohol and cigarettes are not a criminal offense, and they shouldn't be, and neither should marijuana. The prime functions of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. I agree that should be the prime function. I don't strongly agree because I think it should also serve other purposes. People with serious inheritable disability should not be allowed to reproduce. Let's go ahead and disagree here. I would strongly disagree, except for the fact that I'm very pro incentivizing people to have voluntary surgeries to not be able to reproduce. I think that if we're going to be giving tax credits for anything to do with reproduction, it should be reverse of what we have now. Right now we give tax breaks for people with kids. I think we should give tax breaks to people who voluntarily have surgery to never have kids. That's the only reason I'm not going to strongly disagree here. It has nothing to do with the disabilities. It's just the idea of discouraging reproduction is something I'm on board with a lot of the times, just as long as it's not mandatory discouraging. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. The most important thing? No. It's an important thing, but it's not the most important thing. There are no savage and civilized peoples. There are only different cultures. I disagree. There are... Actually, I agree with that mostly, because I think what this question is actually really going for are, like, the general cultures we're looking at. I went straight to thinking about some of the tribes that we leave alone in Africa that are, by definition, savage, because savage just means, like, extraordinarily violent and rash in that sort of a way. So there are definitely savage cultures that exist right now, but I don't think that's what this question is talking about. I might be overthinking it, so I'm going to agree hesitantly. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. Yeah, they shouldn't. Fuck you. When you are troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. I'm going to disagree. Sometimes that's the case. Sometimes you need to think about something else, but not as a general rule. First-generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. That's not true at all. That's an individual choice. Some people who are first-generation are, like, all about their new country. Other people aren't, but that's an individual choice, not like a condition of your status. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us. No, it's not. Eventually, if you do a long enough timeline, if a corporation never does good by people, it could fall apart. But in every situation, no, that's not true. No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. Not necessarily. And how you see the wider society. Oh, the wide loads, the fat part of society. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. They sure are. A significant advantage of a one-party state, is that it avoids all the arguments that delay progress in a democratic political system. No? Arguments good. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. That's not true. What if another country took over our surveillance and they didn't want to do innocent terrorism searching with it? Yeah, that's not true. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. Yeah, I don't strongly agree, but I think, like, if there's indisputable evidence, DNA and or caught red-handed, that sort of thing, you know, like mass shootings and stuff where everyone saw it happening, I think it should be an option for the most serious crimes. I don't think it should be a go-to. I don't think it should ever be used in any case that required, like, a jury to really decide anything as far as guilt or not. Because sometimes you're just having it anyway. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. Yeah, I actually strongly agree with this because that's just human evolution. Now, I don't like the term obeyed and commanded, so I guess I'm gonna leave it at strongly agree, just because I'm just getting hung up on terminology. But that's just how things have to work. You have to have some people leading, some people following. If everyone's leading, it doesn't work. If everyone's following, it doesn't work. The communal ideas don't work. That's why even in the most communist societies, there's still a leader, because humans need that for organization. It's very effective. It sounds like a sad, mean, oh, they're in charge and I'm not, but it doesn't have to be that way. But that's just how life works. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. I mean, I get where you're coming from, but art is art. It's probably something that's just being used to launder money, sure, but it's still technically art. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. No. There's a lot of crimes that can be rehabilitated. In fact, most of the people in prison in the US are in prison for petty crimes, petty theft, drug crimes, and stuff like that. That all very much should be rehabilitation focused, and it's not, and it's a problem. It is now violent crimes and shit like that, fuck it, that's punishment, but you get it. It is a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals. Yeah, some criminals. So I guess I'll agree, because some criminals, like violent crimes and stuff, that is a waste of time. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. Yeah, sadly they are. Because if you're talking about as the economy slides and slides and slides and slides, you need the businessman and manufacturer to keep people literally alive. You don't need the writer and the artist to do that. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. I'm gonna disagree. I understand this, and there's a biological perspective to it that makes sense. And I think where I kind of take issue with it is taking the choice away from the mother in this scenario. I think there are other alternatives, like a stay-at-home father, that can work out as well. Kids need caretakers that are immediate family. Maybe it's grandma, I don't know. But to say that their first duty is to be a homemaker, that doesn't sit well with me. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. Yes, they are. Of course they are. That's how this shit works. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. I could agree with that. I don't know that it's like a sign of maturity so much as an important aspect of understanding how the world works, I guess, if you define that as maturity. The establishment has to exist for anything to exist. What you should do is want to improve the establishment rather than just say, fuck the establishment. If you got through that okay, you'll find these propositions on religion a breeze. Oh boy, we're on religion now. Astrology accurately explains many things. No, it doesn't. It accurately explains 0 things. You cannot be moral without being religious. Yes, you can. Charity is better than Social Security as a means of helping genuine disadvantaged. Probably not. Some people are naturally unlucky. There's no such thing as luck. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. No, I just want my child's school to instill good morals. It doesn't have to be religious values. Finally, a look at sex. Here we go to round it off. I didn't know sex was going to be part of politics, or religion for that matter, but here we are. Sex outside marriage is usually immoral. All right, so this is where we get tricky, because when I'm talking morality, I'm usually talking external morality rather than internal morality, what I think is moral for other people or society as a whole, rather than my own moral convictions. I don't think my own moral convictions should dictate other people's morals. So I'm just going to disagree with this, even though in my own life, I would say if you're sleeping around, it's probably not emotionally healthy, but I'm just going to disagree because I don't think I should be putting my moral bias on someone else. A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. Well, yeah, they shouldn't. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal. Yes, it should. I do think there should be some laws, though, some more close eyes, at least, on the porn industry to prevent human trafficking. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. No, it's not. No one can feel naturally homosexual. That's pretty much the only way to feel homosexual is naturally. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. A little bit. Now let's see where you stand. All right, so here's the explanation. Oh, this is a lot of explanation. Oh, look at these lines. I don't think that's me. I don't think I'm that far right. I think it's just showing me an example. So here's the chart, though, that I'm going to look at. So I imagine I'll be somewhere in this region of the chart. The libertarian, but in the center. Libertarian center. That's where I think I'll be. Oh, look at this. Stalin, Hitler, Thatcher, Friedman, Gandhi. Oh, I'm not going to read all this. Hey, there I am. I'm a left-leaning libertarian. There you go. So the people that had me as a leftist, they win. All those sex things, they got me in the left. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with my original thought that pretty much depending on my mood, I'm going to be pretty close to a centrist kind of a mindset. If you want to get technical, apparently I'm a centrist libertarian because the left and the right is non-significant. So the conclusion that I'll put on the screen here is Skeem is a centrist libertarian. So there you go. As you can see, this is why I'm not voting for Donald Trump or Joe Biden, because neither of them fall in line with my political views. I'll be voting for Jo Jorgensen, not because she aligns perfectly with my views, but I believe in trying to get a third party onto the ballot in 4 years, and they're onto the stage, I should say. They're already on the ballot, onto the stage in 4 years, and hopefully in 4 years it won't be Jo Jorgensen, but it will be a libertarian ticket. As you can see, I lean towards the libertarians. Anyway, leave your comments of your political thoughts below. I'm sure they won't be toxic at all. And until next time, I scheme, you scheme, we all scheme for ice cream. Bye!